Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jerma here with the first ever episode of Enlighten. That's the title I'm going to be using, I guess. Enlighten is a series I'm doing where I go back in time and I pick a title that was overlooked by a lot of people or didn't really sell that well, but it was still a fantastic game that you have to check out. And the first title I'm going to go over is something called the Neverhood. Some of you might know what this game is, but a lot of you don't because it sold so awfully and was released at such an odd time in gaming's history that it went under the radar, very, very much so. And it's unfortunate because the creator, Doug TenNapel, this is kind of his baby. He's the guy that, if you don't know who Doug TenNapel is, he created Earthworm Jim. He's the guy responsible for Earthworm Jim, so that alone is the reason why you should check out this game. So what do you say we get started? I'm going to do this very, very much in a review style. Going to show you a whole lot of clips, going to show you a whole lot of stuff, condense it down, you know the deal. So what do you say we go back in time? The year is 1996, and the age of PC gaming is just starting to flourish. Large companies were starting to realize that video games not only could function well on the PC, but compete with the popular gaming consoles. This was also the tail end of the adventure game era, a certain genre that had players problem solve and pay attention to detail rather than shoot up a room full of enemies. The Neverhood is one of those games, and unfortunately, the room full of enemies I just mentioned is the reason why this game was killed. Selling just 42,000 copies, which by today's standards is like getting hit by a tornado, the Neverhood died out fairly quickly, which is very unfortunate because this game is absolutely in my top 5 greatest games of all time. All time. And here's why. If you want to talk about style points for a game, the Neverhood is absolutely off the charts when it comes to style. Everything you see, every environment, every person, every character, everything was crafted entirely out of clay. There's no camera tricks, there's no CGI, everything is real, in real space. And I think that adds a lot to the realism of the game and how you can get lost in games like this. Too many games nowadays don't imply real space. I find it a lot easier to fall into these characters and get sucked into the world when they're actually real. I feel the same way with movies. You go back to John Carpenter's The Thing, or one of the Alien movies, or any movie that actually had real creatures in it that were crafted by an animatronic or by Jim Henson, you're going to talk about much more realism and much more frightening things. So the plot of this game is you play a character named Clayman, who just wakes up on the ground with no backstory, nothing is there, there's no introduction, you just appear on the ground. And it is your duty as the player to find out why you're even playing the game in the first place. You do this by collecting these random cassette tapes that happen to be on the ground all over the world. You then take those tapes and put them in these various tape players that play the entire story. Once you collect all the tapes, you pretty much complete the game.
These discs are all that are left of the true story. True story of the closing of the Third Age.
This is a fantastic example of reverse storytelling, where nobody tells you anything, you don't get any info, you don't get any hints, you just figure it all out on your own. And the story is actually very, very interesting. It's not one of those games where you get to the end and you go, oh, well, that was stupid. It's actually a pretty good story. Like any adventure game, the gameplay revolves around problem solving and puzzles. The difficulty can be described as stupidly easy to tear your hair out of your skull difficult. There's actually a puzzle in this game that mimics Memory, if you know what Memory is. Memory is the game where you flip over tiles and you have to match different icons. That's great and all, but in this version, if you miss one time or if you mess up once, the entire board is deleted. Which brings me to the next point about the gameplay. Get a pen and paper. You're gonna need to write down a lot of stuff. I would actually say if you do not write down half of the information you see in this game, you will never complete it. You will never beat the game. The game is also fairly short. If you blaze through every task and you don't spend a whole lot of time exploring the world, you can beat this game in less than 2 hours. But you don't really play this game for the gameplay. You play this game for the sheer amount of style, the unbelievable cast of characters, and you get to see a game that was created not for money, but for passion, art, and creativity. Those are the reasons why you play this game. And it's not something you can sit here and watch, it's something that you have to experience. And hopefully there's a rumor going around that the Neverhood's gonna make it to mobile devices, whether that be iPad, iPhone, Android. So hopefully that all goes through, because that would be amazing if we could all play this game and pay a little bit of money for it, pay the developers what they actually deserve, rather than have them get thrown under the bus for years. So hopefully you guys check this game out. I really do recommend you do it. I will see you guys all next time, and enjoy yourself in the Neverhood. Take care, everybody.